So the game is on. Carsten Hansen sets the pace with a strike. Thomas Larsen follows with a spare. We are in the chat box as well, so if you have any questions, comments, just let us know and we will see if we are able to answer them.
Yeah, any comments or questions to do with the patterns, the lanes, any other technical info you want to know about, or just experience at the tournament? I mean, I'm always happy on live stream, as everyone knows who's listened to me before.
They ask
So
you
happy to ask questions.
They ask you who is your favorite.
My favorite.
Well, I see a Dutch guy asking. He might be asking me, but as a Dutch,
he might as well ask both of us.
Well,
your favorite will be Joshua.
Exactly,
clearly.
As a Dutch guy.
I mean, the only guy I actually don't know out of these four personally is Joshua. But I mean, I obviously can't rule that out. He trains here, so he knows the centre pretty well. He's obviously bowled great to get to this final. But my favourite, I don't know. I don't know if I could pick one favourite. I'd say for me, because of getting the job done, I'd say Thomas or Achim. But it would come down to experience. I would probably put my money on Thomas. For me.
It's a good choice, I think.
It's not a bad shot. There we go.
That's a double to start off.
So yeah, any comments, questions? Anyone wants to ask me anything?
Yeah, just how you're doing actually.
Can ask me.
Misha Kalika is asking you how you're doing.
Misha! Hello, my friend in Ukraine. How are you doing? I am not too bad, my friend. Thank you very much for asking.
We see a replay of Carsten's shot. Like we already said, it's a good shot. Came in a little high at the end, but worked out well.
It's not how, it's how many.
Back to Joshua on the medium as well.
That's a bit high. Nose. Ball read the lane slightly too early. It's interesting, I was just thinking about it. Looking at the ball choices I'm seeing as well for equipment for the short pattern. I know a lot of people used urethane, even though this was 35 feet. I know a lot of people used urethane. Nice trip before there for Thomas for the spare. But interestingly, I think Carsten is the only one that is even using urethane on the short in this final. There were a lot of people who shot a big number in qualifying and this morning and during the rounds that were using urethane on the short.
Absolutely.
And I think Carsten is the only one out of these four that is still using urethane on the short.
And it's a fresh pattern. It hasn't been played since it's re-oiled after final step one. So
they've only had 10 minutes, and this pair's not been used the entire final step.
That's true.
This is still fresh.
It seems like Achim does have a line though, leaving a 7-pin there. They want to know as well if you have an opinion about the English bowlers in this tournament. How did they do? Well, nobody's in the finals, so.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Me and Don both went out in the same round.
True.
Don went out to Timo Schroeder and Achim. And I went out to Carsten Hansen and Birgit Purpler. Both made to the same round. But the other guys, a couple of guys come for experience, a couple of guys come and just may not have had the best of times that they would have liked to have had.
That's really important as well, to come for the experience, especially with this tournament, with the dual lane conditions. You don't see it a lot around.
Well, you don't see it next to ever anymore. This is the only EBT tournament to my knowledge. I mean, anybody in the chat room can correct me, but I believe it is the only one on tour that is a normal open event. It's not the Masters.
As well.
And it's the only one that uses dual lane. I think Aalborg used to, but I think that's gone to single pattern now.
Yes, we started with it like already a long time ago indeed.
And the main thing is it's kind of changing with the times as well. I mean, last year, every major championships, European and men's championships, used medium and long. And last year, this tournament was on medium and long. Whether that means this year's going to be medium and short, I don't know. But you know, we had one guy come with us. It's not his first EBT, but it's his first dual lane EBT. He might not have bowled as good as he wanted to, or as good as he feels he can, but he learnt a hell of a lot. I've got to give a shout out to Mike. Mike bowled great. yesterday, and it just didn't quite go his way at the back end of the block. And you know, he bowled great. He just caught, you know, to my knowledge, he caught a couple of pairs that weren't that friendly. And the way I feel about these patterns, oh, that's a nice break. The way I feel about these lanes and these patterns, it's not hard to go from high to low.
That's true.
It's not very hard to do that, depending on what pairs you get. You get a couple of pairs where the topography is a little off on the short, and then that's, if you finish on a short, that's 6/10 of your game tough, much
Absolutely.
tougher. Or the medium, the other way around, you know, you get it the same. I got a shout out to my brother as well. He bowled really good. Richard, if anyone doesn't know, had 24 strikes in a row at the back end of his block. Last 3 in the 4th game, 300 the 5th game, and then the front 9 the next game. He had 14-12. He bowled good this morning, just didn't get the breaks he needed to get through. Besides that, you know, I mean, Rog didn't, in my mind, Rog didn't bowl that bad either. Paul Moore didn't really bowl that bad. So you know, people can say I'm biased if they want, but in my mind, no one really bowled terribly. Just the number was what it was, and it was a lot harder to make the number than it seemed.
Absolutely. We saw Carsten working on 3 strikes. They went out to the Brooklyn though, and Thomas left a 10-pin.
I don't think
in the 4th frame.
I don't think Carsten think he got it to the right. I mean, you saw him coming back and waving it to the right. I don't think he got it to the right. I don't think he was happy with that shot.
Well, there was just a 6-pin leaving.
Yeah, just a single pin spare.
That's an easy spare, so
It's a safe spare, and then you can move on. And there is one other guy I've got to give a shout out to as well. 1, I promised him, and 2, it is fair as well. But and he's kind of standing in front of me. Guy from Ireland, Chris Sloan. To my mind, he bowled pretty good this week and was probably the most consistent without having a number. I think he had 2 squads where he didn't have a game below 190 and didn't have a game above 210.
that doesn't count.
That's tough.
That's really tough
That's
indeed.
tough. But you know, he didn't bowl terribly either. So, rolling
We
the
saw
2-pin for Achim.
this in his 300 game. We saw this happening twice as well on the short pattern.
He rolled the 2-pin.
Oh, twice.
Twice?
Even. Yes, and the game after he did it again on the short pattern.
I wasn't around. I didn't realise he had 300 till everybody cheered for the 12
well,
shot.
In that 300, he did it twice as well.
It's a good shot by Joshua there.
But
Really
just the
good
light
shot.
pocket hits for Achim work out really well. We see a replay of Achim's shot up here. Rolling out the 2-pin really
The one
late
thing
again.
that worked for Achim years past and works for him still now is just he might have soft ball speed, but he's really soft with his hand at the bottom, and it just matches up so well. And he can just not necessarily do what he wants, but he can match up to almost anything. The way he throws it, I mean, it just proves he's here and now. He's bowling now, so.
That came a little high for Carsten. After that last shot as well.
That was quite a bit, seemed like it was quite a bit right.
Thomas in the meanwhile on the medium.
Liked it.
Didn't take the 10-pin out though. Well, this should be 2 easy spares for these national team members. I see the question coming in about the cutoff, if it was higher than the last few years. Not exactly sure, not a lot I think.
You're better equipped to answer that than I was, because I wasn't here last year, and the year before I was looking higher up the table than what the actual cut number was. So I'm not quite sure what the cut was for the last 2 years.
I'm not exactly sure. I think
It was
it's
like 13. It was 1340.
46 this year, I think.
1340.
It might have been 1322 last year, but I'm not quite sure about it. I think it's almost the same. I wouldn't say that the patterns are easier this year. It's not true that there are a lot of more international players either. It's just that people figured out quickly how to play these patterns, I think.
Yeah, the guys that shot a big number were had ball reactions that worked on the fresh, that made it easier to read pair to pair. That's the one thing I found. I bowled 4 squads, made it on the last squad before the Desperado, and that was the time when I felt, for me, I had the most consistent read pair to pair on the short. The medium wasn't much of an issue for me. That's just me, though. There's people out there I know that have problems on the medium rather than the short. But the guys that could score big and could get the ball to go through the pins the right way, but not make it so they had to make massive moves pair to pair on the medium and the short, were the guys that scored a hell of a lot. And there's a couple of them here. I mean, Carsten was #1 seed. I mean, he had 1490 with 190 last game.
Yep.
He was 300 over for 5. That's a lot of strikes. It's a lot of bowling.
Yeah, like we said before, Achim came here by Desperado squad. Thomas and Joshua both made it by just good bowling.
Just bowling from this morning.
Well,
did Joshua not have 300 this morning?
Yes, he did in
final step 1. Yeah. It was
game
2?
3, I think.
Game 3?
Game 2 or 3, indeed.
Might have been 2, because I know he was quite a way down the centre from me.
I knew it was on lane 11 and 12, that's for sure.
It's the same pair my brother had 300.
It's a good pair indeed.
It's not a bad pair.
Back to Joshua. He's working on 3 strikes into the 6th frame.
What we've got on the board right now, we've got Carsten's on 117 in the 5th with a strike up. Thomas is on 94 in the 5th with a spare. And Joshua is now on 98 in the 4th with a double. Achim's yet to bowl his 6th frame, and he's on 59 in the 3rd with a double. So he can have 89 in the 4th with a double. Or turkey. Where's Selwyn?
We see the replay of Joshua's shot, and meanwhile, it looked a little to the inside.
It did go a little high.
It did.
It struck, that's the main thing.
That's what Achim is thinking as well.
Achim doing what Achim does best.
Thomas Larsen had 3 single pins in a row. Does he know to kick them
made
all
a
out?
slight move. That's another good shot. It looked like he moved a tad left to get the ball to store a little bit more energy down the lane. Go through the pins the right way. Carsten up on lane 16. Working on a strike. It's a good shot. It's a really good shot.
It's a double, and it looks like it's going to be a final with high scores.
Yeah, if you have to go off the first 6-7 frames, yeah, you're looking at high scores.
Everybody's bowling well.
I know how Thomas feels right now with 9-9-9 and 1 strike. I know how that feels.
Especially when you see all the other striking around you.
That's what I mean.
That's really tough indeed.
That's final step 3, deja vu for me. It's a little inside. It's a good shot. I think by that reaction he knew it.
That's a light hit for Joshua. Leaving an 8-pin for 127 in 5.
Might have been a tad hard. That might have been a pinch hard. It didn't look like it read the lane the same way it did the last shot. Just looked like it laboured a little bit down lane. While Carsten's getting up on the left lane on the medium. Working on a double. It's a nice scout at the 10.
Oh, Joshua missed the 8-pin on the right side. hooking it to it. Not a big fan of that anyway.
Nah, when you've got dual conditions, I'm not a fan of.
Depending on the lane condition to make your spare.
Yeah, the only time I think I've hooked at any spare this week, and that most people I see do it really is
Like a 2/8.
Well, the 2/8 is one, obviously, or like a 9-pin on the medium.
That's
a
possible.
9-pin on the medium, you don't necessarily have to throw it straight, but I prefer to throw most anything straight. Take the pattern out, play. It doesn't matter what lane you're on, what pair you're on.
Well, you just saw what could happen with that 8-pin from Joshua. Well, Thomas makes it a double.
Threw a great shot then. He pured that. And now Achim's got no head pin, so he's going to have fun trying to strike off that.
I think somebody will figure it out on time. Not yet, not yet. Yes, they did.
Thomas has, and now one of the referees has.
And Joshua Schuurman came back with a strike. He has 155 and 7 at this point.
Sorry, I'm laughing. The referee working the console went to go to respot and ended up trying to order bar service.
Yes.
That was actually pretty funny.
But it was not activated, so he could walk to the bar himself if he wants to.
If it was, that would be quite funny if they just suddenly ran onto the lanes. Who wants a drink? Who wants a drink?
Alright, so Achim Grabowski has 10 pins again. Working on 4 strikes with 119 and 5.
I think Achim could take the lead here. If he strikes here, he could take the lead off Carsten.
With 2 pins indeed.
It's inside.
And leaves us at 7 pin.
He knows it as well. Achim's not silly. Achim can keep score.
So the lead will stay with Carsten with 147 and 6 with a double.
With Achim behind on 148. Or possibly 168 in the 7th frame with a spare.
144 and 7 for Thomas with a double after it. Going into the 10th frame.
No spare from Achim. Great thing about watching Achim, he is a character. Achim is one of those characters on the tour, and we frequently go to Germany and we see him all the time. He's one of the characters of the tour. He's good fun to watch when he's getting animated.
Carsten on the lane on the short pattern. 147 and 6 with a double. In the lead at this point of the game.
Wow.
That's a hard 10 pin for him.
It's very fast ring 10. Which now means if Achim strikes, he can go back to possibly having the lead again.
Well, what is Achim doing on that shot?
That's a good shot.
Good shot for Achim. And Achim is back in the lead indeed. Thomas Larsen trailing by like 10 pins.
Yes, 10 pins.
And
Carsten sticks or slides. Didn't like that
he
at all.
did it before on lane 11 or 12 as well. He made it that time though, but well, no man overboard. When he strikes out, the gap will be only like 10 to 15 pins when they all strike out. So
It's still the fact he's gonna know there's no ties. It's 1 to 4, all different amounts now. But he's gonna forget that and he's gonna move on.
that's a great shot from Joshua, and you hear the audience.
You can go back and you can look at the shot before that, and you can see that ball reads the lane.
Oh, absolutely.
He reads the lane. He got it a little bit more to the right.
But like you said, it was like a kilometer slower as well.
Yeah, he didn't overthrow it.
This one is 28.7 by the machine saying, and the other one was 29.9.
It was
so
closer to 30. Yeah.
that's a big difference. And that doesn't mean that he throws it 30 off the hand, but Carsten recovers.
The funny thing is here, if they all strike out,
It
it will be less than 10 pins
12
between
pins. No,
first
no,
and second.
12 pins, right?
12 pins. You'll have two
234,
234s. You'll have a 248, which is 14,
14 indeed,
and a
and
245. So
yes.
yeah, 14. 14 pins.
No man overboard. Everybody's game still. Wow.
Oh wow!
He trips out the 5 and the 10 pin there. Carsten for the double to stay within 10 pins.
It's a good shot.
So it's just going to be 10 pins, but he knows as well that he could have shot 245 when he would have made that spare, and he would be in the lead with the other two guys. Well, maybe 248 for Achim when he strikes out, but 245, 248 with 1 game to go.
Anything can happen in 10 frames.
Absolutely.
Seen a lot of strange things in bowling. We all have. That was a great shot.
Well, Joshua actually got
tough.
lucky earlier this day on lane 11 and 12 when Pascal Winterheimer just needed 8 pins to take him.
It was my pair.
That was your pair indeed. That was a really close match.
Final step 2, that was the 2 that went through from that pair were Oscar Palema and me.
Yes, exactly.
And the lucky loser was Joshua. And
By
because of
one pin.
because of the ruling of 4 lucky losers, but you have to be third on your pair to count.
Yes.
It meant that Pascal needed, if he got 8 on his last shot and tied with Joshua, he
It
had a higher last game.
Yes.
And if he got 9, he went through as lucky loser. And Pascal, unfortunately, didn't throw the best shot. And he didn't throw the best shot. And he got 7.
He got 7, yes.
And so even though he had a higher score than other lucky losers, he was last on the pair, so he couldn't go through.
Yep. That was Joshua's luck this morning earlier. And now he's there in the finals. We got Deadwood on lane 15. So
now the referee's going to make a cameo.
Oh, and there was a count already as well, so
I mean, I got to change the score.
They probably saw that, right? Yeah, he did. Oh, it went to second.
Oh, now they're going to have to get the reception desk to do
Oh,
this.
yeah,
Because
it's already done.
they can't delete one single shot.
So the score has
I'm
been
wondering whether he's noticed that. Yes, he has noticed it was on first cycle. That would be a nightmare.
Well, it will
Gets the score changed and throws it in the gutter and it comes up
it
with 0 again.
well, he doesn't see. They will figure it out after this score.
They'll just let him do it. And
Alright, they all got it figured out. It's up to Achim for his 10th frame, and Joshua still has a 10th frame left as well. Maximum scores: Achim 248, Joshua 245. Carsten already shot 234.
Thomas has already had 223.
Achim on the short.
He blew out 7 last shot on this lane. Got it in a little pinch again. This time flat 10-in.
They gotta push a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
Well, we see
Excuse me. Oh dear. Ooh. Achim wearing skinny jeans.
it does mean though that Joshua Schuurman, the 19-year-old, is taking the lead after the first game.
Yeah, he only needs
7.
Well, no, he needs the first one to take the lead. If he gets 9 spare, then he ties with Carsten. And there's the strike. Joshua Schuurman of the Tilburg Dolphins is taking the lead after 1 game in this final of the EBT bronzen schietspoel tournament 2013.
.226 for Achim with that 7-10 in the last frame. No reason to make it.
That's a shame. Could have had a spare on live stream. That was a good shot from Joshua. Okay, after 1 game in the final, Joshua Schuurman is currently in the lead with 245. Second place at the moment, after 1 game, is Carsten Hansen of Denmark, 234. Followed up by Achim Grabowski of Germany with 226. Rounding out the top 4 with a clean 223 is Denmark's and PBA's Thomas Larsen. We're going to get straight into the second game.
This game will decide who will be the winner of this edition of the Hammer Bronze Schietspoel. Thomas Larsen didn't throw that shot.
He didn't like it for something.
You better step off again then. Carsten Hansen on the medium. Gets it out well. Gets it out too early though for a 4-6 in his starting frame of this final game. Alright, Thomas Larsen is back up again.
Looks like a good shot. Oh, wow.
We need a score correction up there. It fell so late.
No, it did count 9.
Oh, I'm sorry. There were people in front of me standing.
Okay, Carsten takes a 6-pin. That's 8-1.
And there is still a 7-pin left indeed for Thomas. I never expected a 7-10 to see anyway on that shot, so that's why I thought when the 10-pin was taken out,
it was going to be late. And again, anybody who's watching the live stream who's not bowled here before will notice that the racks on the first shot don't necessarily rack that fast. You can have some pretty slow and late messengers giving you 8 instead of 7, strike instead of 9, a lot in the center. And you can also get a lot of deadwood out the front as well. But on the spares, it racks pretty quick.
Joshua Schuurman, second game. Clean shot, great shot to start off this second game.
There's me saying about how slow the racks are. Joshua can walk off of the approach before the lane racks.
That's the only problem. Well, that's not a problem. It's more an issue we have every year in this center indeed, because the sweeps are so slow. We get a lot of deadwood in the gutters indeed.
Yeah.
That was a light hit, and ooh, it almost
that
fell
was
back
almost
to hit the 8-pin as well.
Now we need a score correction.
Yes.
Achim's wondering where the 2-pin went. Achim's probably thinking he needs a respot. That's a good shot from Thomas. Sure as hell. Blows the rack for 10. Not taking that much time.
Achim for his 8-pin should be no problem. Is hooking it to it.
Yeah, safe spare. There's a question that they just asked you. Hey Daniel, how is it that you get so many messages in front of the 10-pin in Tilburg? It's just above that one.
Yeah, I saw it before as well. Well, it happens a lot indeed. How it happens, I don't know. It might have to do with the kickbacks or anything like that. But that might be the best answer I can give you.
It is probably due to do with the kickbacks, and you do see it a lot with twisters in most any centre. I see it a hell of a lot with twisters because they fly so much. A lot of shots where the scout would go in front of the 10 on Brunswick max pins, strike maker pins, and flights. You don't generally see the pin get far enough across the deck for it to count as a fast messenger in front of the 10. So when you see it on twisters a lot of the time, it's the same sort of hit as an AM flight or a Brunswick max pin, and it just flies in front of the rack. And you count it as seeing it happen a lot more than other pins because the pin actually is light enough to get across the deck. Or just the fact they're made more of more plastic.
Carsten Hansen misses his 10 pin, like he did in the last game as well.
Except he didn't stick on the approach.
Exactly, this time for another reason looked like it. And Achim shows him how to make a 10 pin. So 2 spares for Achim, who is taking second position with that, with Thomas Larsen. Carsten Hansen started with 2 opens in fourth at this point. Joshua Schuurman still in the lead, with 1 frame behind even.
Just to answer Dave Harmon's question, because I'm going to give a shout out to the guys back home. Harmonise on Talk 10 pin. Hello Dave and hello Dom. Good to see you guys are still keeping up with all of this. Great to see you on the stream. Yes, Achim on the short is using a Brunswick slingshot, and on the medium he's using a Storm IQ Tour Pearl. Kind of hard not to notice it's an IQ Tour Pearl. It looks like a gold rhino. And people who are back far enough know about gold rhinos. That was a good shot from Carsten, but it just reared up a little soon.
Same as last shot actually. That read up pretty soon as well, leaving that 4-6. Now it's just a 6 pin. 4 pin fell down pretty late. Let's see what Thomas does on the short.
Oh.
Didn't look too happy about
Wow. They are the sort of messengers you love to see.
Oh, absolutely. It
Helicopter messenger.
I was going to say it already twisted like a helicopter like 6 times before it was on by the 10 pin.
That's a hit I only ever see on twisters.
Oh, you were not the only one thinking that.
Oh no.
He misses another single pin. 2 in a row, and he's laughing at himself, I think.
I would safely say it is, because I'd be laughing at myself right now.
Yes. Achim on the
Changed
short.
his ball.
He did. And he leaves it at 9 pin. Came in a little high. Joshua Schuurman working on a double.
Can make his lead 20 pins higher. Now. Maybe even 30 pins higher now. Flat 10s.
That was a good shot actually.
He makes a spare. That puts his lead to about 29 pins. It's not bad after 13 frames in a final of an EBT.
The question that's coming in, it's a good question. But he's not here though, this year.
Dom, I have absolutely no idea. I do not know if Stu shops at Tesco. I'm sure Dom will get that reference. I'm sure he'll understand that reference. Harriet says hi, Ray. Hello, Harriet. Hope everyone up that way in the country is doing well.
All right, back to Carsten. After 3 opens, 4th frame right now, 27 in 3. Looks
really good shot.
Good shot.
One of the few 10 straight back shots I've seen this week. Hit the pocket, no pins on the rack. Not that easy to do in here.
Absolutely not.
And I'm not talking about striking, I mean getting all 10 off the rack.
Striking is easy here. Everybody knows that.
There's a lot of people who bowled this week who would disagree with you.
Oh, and he's refusing again to throw his shot. Oh,
Thomas is one that likes to... I think he's one that likes to have his fit feeling pretty close to perfect before he bowls. So he gets top of his backswing and doesn't like it. He's not friendable.
Joshua on the short in the meanwhile.
He's got it to the right. A little hard. That might be a little hard. 29.9. Got it to the right. It's a tad hard.
So Thomas Larsen back up again.
Oh wow, it's got a hook. It did.
It did.
Ooh! 2 messengers in a row. Thomas shaking it off like he's just walked out of a freezer.
So this is still a match.
It is indeed still a match.
And good spare by Joshua there.
This is very much still a match, even with Carsten going back to back to back open frames. It's still very much a match.
Between all 4 players. Still in the race to get first place, but also all 4 of them are in the race to get 4th place.
Indeed.
And that's a big difference in prize money as well.
For a difference that can be very few pins, it's a lot of money. It's a great shot by Achim.
Thomas is getting a respot on lane 16.
Getting one of his 2 re-racks a game. I think that's pretty much a rule into everywhere these days. 2 a game unless there is a specific reason for it to be allowed otherwise. I know I used a couple this week.
Sometimes you do need a re-rack or something like that. Sometimes it's even just for yourself, for your own mindset, you know, taking a little extra time.
I'm not one to comment on that because I'll get backlash for that.
Carsten, much better shot, great shot on the medium this time. Moved in a little bit, played it outside a little bit later. So it picked up better than it did on the frames before that.
Kind of used where the ball read the lane a little sooner to get it reading before it travelled too far right. It's a little slow.
Oh, that was really slow, but it takes it out though.
You like that? Here we get a little replay of Thomas's shot there. Sits a little slow, it reads a little soon. He's waving it off. Trips on the back.
Meanwhile, Joshua on the medium. Back in our screen as well. With a great shot.
If you didn't already know that Joshua trains here and this is more of a local centre for him, you've only got to listen to the support he has at the back.
Well, that would have been for every Dutch guy probably. Most of the fans here are Dutch, so a Dutch one in the finals is always a good sign then. Oh, a little slow from Achim as well, but he didn't get the luck that Thomas had.
He didn't like that. That looked like it was left off his hand. He wasn't a fan of that as soon as it got off his hand.
I think at this point the lead is in hands of Thomas Larsen.
Well,
by a few pins. Because he had
it may be 1 stick, because if Thomas strikes he adds another 30, but if Joshua strikes because he's on 1 strike he adds 20.
Exactly. So
and Joshua is 9 up on Thomas right now. So if Thomas strikes, if Thomas strikes and we give Joshua the strike, then Thomas is in the lead by 1.
Let's see what will happen in frame number 6 of this final, 2nd game already. Last game.
That's pure compared to the last one. It's a good shot.
Great shot.
Yeah, that now gives Thomas the lead by a pin.
And those 2 guys are like 30 pins ahead of Carsten and Achim at this point.
Yes.
Which are really close with the 2 of them. So we got a tight match for places 1 and 2, tight match for places 3 and 4.
That's very wide.
That is
very really good shot though.
Really good shot.
Being able to play that far right is a skill in itself. Let alone what else you do with it.
We see Achim. After that split he left on the short last frame. He looked back really quick.
Achim seems to do that when either he likes it or he doesn't like it. I know that's not a lot of difference, but he must have liked that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he liked this one. We see Joshua Schuurman. Will it be just 1 pin?
That's
or
a
will
little
it be
slower.
6 pins?
It looked a little slower, was it?
I think it was.
I'm not sure if it was.
Not slow. It's 29.9 as well, but I think he played it out a little bit too far, I think.
It's the same as the last frame. He left 2-8 last time on that lane. That might be adrenaline pumping.
Exactly.
Being 4 frames from the finish and
being
pretty close.
And being so young and inexperienced indeed. And that's something that Thomas Larsen, his big advantages in this game.
Yeah, Thomas might not be that old, but he's got a lot of experience.
In the EBT finals especially, and like you said before, also in the PBA nowadays.
Yes.
And he just knows how to keep his head cool, and that doesn't mean that Joshua is losing his focus or anything like that, but it might be harder to be that concentrated as Thomas is, for example.
It's more second nature to Thomas now than it is to Joshua. I'm only going out on a limb and saying that. That's based off of experience. Who was the highest placed woman? That was an easy question. Birgit Pöppler.
Yeah, that was already answered in the Birgit Pöppler, and Janine Gabel was the second placed best woman. Thomas Larsen in the meanwhile on the short. He got another
helicopter messenger.
Judge is 20 indeed. He turned 20 last week.
Thomas is bringing it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he's bringing it.
Absolutely.
Nice slow-mo replay here of his
last shot.
Okay, I came up. It's on 86 in the 5th frame. Strike up in the 6th. It's a little slower, but a little right. It's a good shot. It's a double. Gives him 342 total so far, but that includes what the double would add if you were to throw it in the gutter. So
Joshua Schuurman up on the medium. I think the crowd wants a strike.
Close.
Leaves a 7-pin though. Little light.
That one might have been a tad hard as well. Tad left, tad hard. Not by a lot, but enough so the ball didn't roll.
And he still has 30 pins till number 3. But Thomas is taking a big lead right now.
Thomas keeping that string alive is putting him much, much closer to the title.
And winning 8,000 euros this year.
Carsten didn't like that.
I didn't either, to be honest. It leaves
Carsten
an easy 6-pin though.
Yeah. Joshua makes his spare.
Good spare for Joshua. The crowd is motivating him once again.
Carsten is playing very close to the gutter on the short though. He's laying the ball down way, way, way right. I mean, from this angle, we're stood directly behind lanes 14 and 15, so we got a little bit of angle to lane 16, and he looks like he's hanging off the gutter for about 5 foot of the lane a lot of the time. He's playing way right.
Well, you can say that those 3 opens in the first 3 frames of the second game, Carsten really casts.
Well, the first frame was a split anyway,
exactly.
So you give 8-1 for that.
But still, 22 pins after that.
Oh, that's a bit in.
Week 10, 10 pin, yeah.
Thomas knows how to keep score. He knows not to worry, not to get overzealous about that being a flat 10. If these guys didn't know how to keep score, then they're doing pretty well.
Exactly.
That one looks a little better from Joshua. And sure enough, it was.
He is adding some pressure onto Thomas right here. Important to make your spare.
He is keeping, as we would say, keeping Thomas honest. Don't know if that's a phrase anywhere else, but it is in England. Keep him honest.
That's all right.
Thomas nails 10 pin. Thomas still has the lead though. Joshua was to get the next 2. Give him 176 in the 8th, which would add, it would give him 71.
He can
50 more than that's up there. but if Thomas is to get the next 2, then that would give him 40 more than that's up there. So he's still 10 up. He's still 11 pins in the lead, even with the spare.
481 max score for Joshua.
Achim runs it out. Ouch.
Well, actually, it's just a 1-pin game at this point. Joshua can shoot 481. Thomas Larsen can shoot 482. So if they both strike out from the 9 frame on, it's a 1-pin game.
Thomas can shoot 269, which is plus 70 onto there, so 492. So it's 11-pin game.
11-pin game indeed.
Well, it's tight between Joshua and Thomas, but it doesn't look like Carsten or Achim are going to get near to those 2.
No.
So in the last 2 frames, it's Thomas and v Joshua for the 1-2, and then it's between Achim and Carsten for 3rd and 4th, which is only a 2-pin game.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty tight for both.
It is pretty tight.
Both halves of this final.
Thomas needs a good shot here.
Needs the hook.
Leaves him.
I think he's just happy he didn't. Just happy he didn't tap, because now he gets to go back on the medium.
So now it's an even match. That were exactly the 11 pins. When Joshua strikes, it's exactly even.
Pretty much, yes, because Joshua, you said he could max out at
481. And the same is for Thomas when he spares, of course, and I'm sure he will spare this 2-pin. So if Joshua strikes, it's an even match. It's 481, 481. If they both shoot 481, what will happen?
Is it 481? Is it highest last game? Highest second game?
I was just checking what's happening.
Oh, that's in Dutch. I can't read that.
Well, if there's an ex-equo, the highest last game.
Which right now, it's impossible for that to be Joshua. Not necessarily impossible, but I mean Thomas can't be shut out in highest last game.
No.
Thomas can have 258, but Joshua has 236.
So then Thomas would win indeed.
Yeah, sorry, it's not impossible, but Thomas can't be shut out.
This strike first to start off.
Stone 9-pin.
And you heard the audience with this 9-pin.
There's pretty much at least 7, I'd say, 50, 60 Dutch people in here, all willing that shot to strike. So
I can see the disappointment in the chat room as well. Ouch, indeed, ouch.
Yeah,
it came in a little high though, but
it's one of those times where you feel like that's a hit that you want.
Exactly, and you expect it to fall as well. So
one of those shots where you get it just off your hand, a little bit quick, a little bit clean, really good, and it just didn't quite make it.
He makes a spare there though.
But the main thing is he makes a spare, and you never know. Anything can happen. That's the beauty and the hell of this game. Anything can happen. Achim trying to keep it close with Carsten, forcing Carsten to get up on the short and double to make it tough for him. Right, now Thomas Larsen, because Thomas finishes this match first, because he's lead off on lane 15 and Joshua's anchor on 16, Thomas can get up and shut out this tournament from Joshua and be the winner.
He needs 20 pins.
Joshua can only shoot 216, so he can only shoot 461.
He
needs 21
to win, exactly.
To win.
Well,
so the first one's
he
crucial.
wins this game as well.
Yeah, so this first one's crucial.
That's for sure. And that looks
good.
Leaves a 10-pin though.
Right, now this makes it interesting.
He needs the spare to be sure of the victory. If he misses the spare, Joshua can strike out. He needs all 3 of them then. Well, he needs a double and 9. Yes.
If Thomas misses a spare, he needs a double and 9 to win by 1.
I think Thomas will not miss his spare. He had a 10-pin.
We've seen stranger things happen in bowling.
That's true. Thomas had a 10-pin last frame as well on this lane.
Yeah, he didn't quite get the ball to go through the pins the right way both shots, but he knows what he's doing. He's there and I'm not.
And that's a good spare.
He makes the spare.
So he just needs 1 now.
Thomas needs to keep it on the lane, stay behind the foul line. And I'm just going to double check my math here. 186, 216.
No, that's true.
It's 40 on that, it's 461. Yes, Thomas needs to stay behind the foul line, keep it on the lane. And Thomas Larsen, even if he was to take 1, he's got a higher last game.
Then still he will win again.
Thomas Larsen needs 1 pin stay behind the foul line, keep on the lane, and Thomas Larsen will be your bronzen schietspoel tournament 2013 in Tilburg EBT champion.
And that's
not going in the gutter.
So that's the winner of the 2013 Hammer Bronze Schietspoel tournament. Thomas Larsen from Denmark. Joshua Schuurman just needs a mark.
I don't think he even needs to keep it on the lane.
Well, he does actually. If Achim strikes out, he still needs 9 pins.
Yes, he needs 9 pins.
So he needs a mark probably if Achim strikes out. If Achim throws.
To get second, which is a brilliant show.
Oh,
and
that's
great
perfect.
Experience for this young man. It's brilliant.
182 last game for Carsten for a total of 416. He's getting fourth place
Achim
with
marks,
that,
if Achim marks, it's 4th place.
Probably. We will.
I think it might be safe to say with Achim's record on this lane that he's going to mark.
Absolutely.
I'd go out on a limb and say that.
He should always mark.
It looks good. Yeah, it's a good shot.
He marks it. For
This is where Achim wants to get 2 and hope. He's hoping Joshua goes like big 4, because that's 8. That's an 8 pin
probably
fill.
not.
I doubt it though.
I think Achim will be happy for this young kid as well.
Yeah.
That was a massive 10 pin for Joshua Schuurman.
And that guarantees Joshua is going to take 2nd place.
Great accomplishment by this young kid from the Netherlands.
Hell yeah, that's a brilliant accomplishment.
Achim taking 3rd place.
And Carsten Hansen from Denmark will round out your top 4.
That's another good one, I think.
And that's now certain, so we can now say for sure your top 4 in order, in descending order. Oh, sorry, actually it's probably better to do it in ascending order, really. For the EBT Bronze and Schietspoel tournament in Dolphin Bowl in Tilburg 2013. Your top 4 from 4th up is Carsten Hansen from Denmark with 416 in the final. Achim Grabowski from Germany is going to shoot 430 if he strikes for 3rd place. Joshua Schuurman from Holland, bowling for the Tilburg Dolphins, will take 2nd place
with 450.
450. If he gets 4.
450.
449.
449.
And your champion of the Bronze and Schietspoel tournament 2013 from Dolphin Bowl in Tilburg is Thomas Larsen from Denmark with 469.
Well, please stay with us.
Finishing off with 246 in the final.
Yeah, please stay with us and listen to Luc Jansen, tournament director, for the finals.
And that's me done, so I will be getting off.